Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to the third time I've tried to film this. If you're new, I'm Anne and I study technology and sometimes life in general, so this was meant to be a get ready with me that I filmed twice and I'm not ready to talk about. Sorry, I wanted this to be a get ready with me, but I don't know, the universe just didn't want that, so let's just do a good old fashioned question and answer. I will be doing a get ready with me in the future. Hopefully I'm not too scarred from this experience. And also if you're new and you don't know, I'm dramatic. So, alright, so this is all about the Camino de Santiago. Oh my gosh, I've said this so many times already, but if you don't know what the Camino de Santiago is, it is a spiritual and religious pilgrimage across Spain to Santiago, the city in Santiago, or the cathedral in Santiago, to the shrine of the Apostle Saint James. And it is a pilgrimage that has been going on for hundreds and thousands of years, a long time. Hundreds of thousands? Hundreds of thousands. Not that long, but it's been going on for a long time. So it has its roots in religion, of course, but I did this for spiritual reasons, and many people do. I did the Camino Santiago, I think 2 years ago now, and I was 25 when I did it, and I did it on my own as a woman. So that is the first thing I wanted to say. If you just wanted to know if you can do this, if you're young, if you're scared, if you're anything, you can do it on your own. So that is what I quickly wanted to say. Obviously, with the way the world is right now, we cannot be most likely we cannot be traveling, but maybe this is a good time for you to start thinking of your future and maybe your soul, especially after all of this going on in the world. Maybe your soul needs a reset. If you're interested in the Camino de Santiago and you want to know more, keep watching. And make sure you subscribe and like if you like my channel. We will be doing a lot more makeup themed, like get ready with me book themed videos. So in addition to like these kind of travel-y videos, because travel is my passion and I have traveled around the world, a lot of it on my own, and I just want to share that with you guys because the biggest question I get when I share on my travels on my Instagram, side note, follow me on Instagram, the biggest question I get from women is, can I do this on my own? I'm so scared. And first I want to say it is natural to be scared. The world can be scary, but I also want to say yes, you can do it. So yeah, make sure you like and comment if this is something that you like, but I'm going to jump straight into the questions, and hopefully this is going to be a little bit shorter than the other two that I did. Oh jeepers, if you know me, you'll just be shaking your head and laughing at this. Alright, what inspired you to take the journey? So this is a question that I have gotten quite a few people asking. Why did I decide to do this? Why did I decide to stop everything in my life for over a month and walk across Spain with nothing but a couple of changes of clothes in a backpack and not one tube of lipstick? I'm going to have to take you way back, well maybe not way back, but a few years back when I was working in a hostel in Seville in Spain, and I was working the night shift and it was about 2 in the morning, and I checked in this older guy or middle-aged guy, I don't even know how old he was, I can't remember, that's not really the point of the story anyway. This guy wearing a backpack and a very world-weary but very peaceful expression, and I know you might be rolling your eyes a little bit at this because I'm going to be talking about the energy I got from him, and you're going to be like, but I got this very special energy from this guy, and he just seemed so at peace. And anyway, so I checked him in and we got to talking, and he just said he'd just done the Camino de Santiago, and he actually had done it for religious reasons, but he was so amazing and lovely, and he lent me a book. I wish I remembered the name of it, but I can't. It's really bad. But he lent me a book on the Camino, and I read it, and then I was just like, oh my gosh, I need this. Because for those of you who don't know, I was doing a bachelor's degree in fashion design originally, and I dropped out of that about 6 months shy of graduating because I just had so much inner turmoil, and I just went through a deep depression that this isn't what I wanted to do. So I decided to drop out very close to graduating and work for a year to save up for a trip around Europe to kind of find myself, if not to sound a little too cheesy, but yeah, that's what I was doing. So I was lost, and this guy talking about this experience that changed his life and really opened his eyes up to many things I was like, yes, I need this. So I stood in my head, I was like, I'm going to do the Camino de Santiago. Now, let's fast forward. Oh my god, let's fast forward again. So I came back from my trip to Spain. This was about halfway through my year when I was in Spain, so I had many travels to go after this, but it was like a little seed that was planted in my mind, and So I came back and I started university. I finished a bachelor's degree in journalism, and I also wrote somewhere in the neighborhood of about 15 books at the same time as completing a bachelor's degree, and some of it was working full-time as a retail assistant. So I had a lot going on in my life. I was very busy. And in addition to that, I attended a signing on a cruise, and I met my fiance. So then I started a long distance relationship between America and New Zealand, and was flying in between while finishing my degree and writing books. So my life was chaotic, to say the least. And he's now my fiance, so spoiler alert, we get back together, but we broke up for a while, and I did the thing that many men and women do when they have broken up. You're like, I need to change, I need to do something to shake up my life, I need to do something. So I decided to move to London, and I moved to London, and I got to London, and I was only in London for about a day because my younger brother was in a very serious accident, and I had to fly to Canada to be with him and my mother while he was in intensive care, and help my mother and help him recover. So that was a very, very emotional for me and my mum. And then I also had to say goodbye to them and go back to London, where I didn't really know that many people, and I had planned on getting a house with a friend of mine, but she wasn't in the city yet, and the house wasn't going to be ready for another month or so. So I came from all of that, still nursing a very broken heart, and came back to the city where I didn't really know that many people, and I was subletting a room in an apartment full of girls who worked full-time. I was an author still at this point, so I worked from home. I didn't really interact with that many people, and yeah, I just felt lost. And then I was just going for a run one day, and I was like, I'm in London, and London is not that far away from Spain. And so I said, this is it. I'm going to be cheesy again. This is going to be a lot of cheesy cliche things, but the cliches for a reason. Something in my soul was like, yes, this is the time. This is the time to do the Camino. You've never been more lost than you are now. You've never been more tired in your body and soul than you are now. So you need to do this. And in classic me fashion, I decided to do it. So this was about a week into staying into the sublet, which I had for a month, and then I was going to move into my new house. So I decided that I was going to book my ticket to France, because that's where you start it, in 4 weeks time. So I had a month to move to a completely different house, prepare to walk across Spain. So yeah, I remember I moved into this new house. So 3 weeks had gone by, I started preparing, and I moved into the new house, and I was like to my friend, I was like, so I'm only here for a week, I'm actually going to go and walk across Spain and like find myself. She was like, holy crap, oh my gosh. And then in addition to that, my fiance and I actually ended up getting back together and made a plan, because another true me fashion, I was scheduled to do a signing in Vegas within a week of finishing the Camino. I had planned it out. There's a book that I'm going to link up here somewhere, that is like the Camino Bible, that pretty much tells you how long it will take. It maps it out for you. It's just the best thing you would ever need. So if you want a resource, that is one of the best ones. It's more practical, so it tells you how long you should walk each day, and it has hostels and hotels and places to stay. So it's not like fictional in any, it's more of a guidebook. Just keep that in mind. But in my opinion, you need it. Almost every pilgrim I met on the way had some version of this book. So it is definitely a Bible. But so I'd read this, and then I was like, right, well, I've got enough time to do this, move houses, then fly back to London, have a week, and then go to Vegas and reconcile with the love of my life, and also do a book signing. So do you see a theme in my life? It is full of chaos. Hence me needing to do this. So yeah, we got back together, and to say the least, he was dubious about me doing it on my own. My mother by this point had gone through me traveling to Morocco, Eastern Europe, very many scary situations for her where I did on my own, so she was used to me declaring I was going to do things like this. My fiance, not then, but now my now fiance, was very protective over me, and he was very worried, to say the least. Understandably, but I did it anyway, of course, because I'm a strong, independent woman. So that is the background as to why I did this. I tried to kind of explain it the other times I filmed this, but I don't know how to explain kind of the mental and emotional fatigue that I had gone through these past 3 years. I was doing so much in my mind. I suffer from anxiety and depression, and I just really didn't realize how bruised and broken I was in many ways, and I was like, you need to discover yourself. And again, this sounds so cheesy, but I needed not just that, but I just needed some time where I wasn't on social media, where I wasn't writing a book, where I wasn't trying to meet a deadline, where I wasn't trying to move across the world, where I wasn't going through a breakup. I just needed to pause. And by pausing, I mean I needed to walk across Spain. But I will say there was something inside of me, something that was like, you need to do this. You need to do this, and you just have to. Like, it was almost like, if you've read Eat, Pray, Love by Elizabeth Gilbert, it was my sitting on the floor crying, the call to God moment. What can I do? Please help me. And something directed me to this. So that is what inspired me to do it. I'm going to answer the rest, but I quickly want to let you know maybe the rest of what happened. So I did all this, we got together, I moved, I got my little backpack, and I went and I arrived in Spain. I'm not in Spain, sorry, in France, because you started in France, and I had planned, we have to take a train to Saint Jean-Pied-de-Port, and from there, that's when you start the Camino. That's the kind of unofficial start. So it's like, well, I have to take this train. I had this little plan, and I had my little backpack, and I was going through customs, and when it was my turn, they took one look at my passport, and this big policeman with a big gun looked at it and looked at me. He's like this, and he directed me to the side, and I was like, and he was like, looked at me, he's like, kia ora, which is hello in Māori, the indigenous language of New Zealand, for those of you who don't know. And again, I took this as a sign that I was meant to be here. It was it seems really silly, but it was definitely a sign. So then I walked around the airport with my little backpack looking for the train station, and I was approached by a man who was like, obviously I was a pilgrim, and he had on all the same gear as me, and there were many, many people looking like this walking around the airport, by the way. And he was like, are you going to Saint Jean-Pied-de-Port? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, well, the train isn't leaving for another 2 hours, and I'm going to get a taxi. And I was like, alarm bells ringing, taken. And I was like, yeah. And then he's like, no, don't worry. He read this in my face. He's like, I've got some other girls coming with me. And this is when I met Anya, one of my Camino sisters, who, spoiler alert, I would finish the Camino with. And I would, along with my 2 other ride or dies on the Camino, we ended up walking the entire way together, and she is a lifelong friend of mine. So, little spoiler alert, but anyway. So there were some other women taking this journey with me, so I felt a little bit less like I was going to get murdered. So I took the taxi with them, and we ended up all kind of sharing our stories as to why we were doing this. And I will say, it's kind of funny, it would become a very common theme throughout the Camino, is you would start walking with someone or a group of people, and everyone would share the reasons what brought them here, and what happened in their life to make them decide to do something like this. And it would vary so drastically. As I said, I met a priest who spoke only Spanish, and he was like the loveliest man, and he was doing this for religious reasons. He'd just done this for years and years. And I met many couples doing it together, fathers, sons, mothers, daughters, doing it for kind of a bonding thing. An 80-year-old man called Neil from Australia, with one change of clothes, was walking this because a friend of his was meant to do it with him, and he had passed away, along with Neil's wife had also passed away. So there were so many different heartbreaking reasons why people were doing this. A lot of heartbreak, I'll say, a lot of breakups reason for this. A lot of broken hearts walking the way of the Camino, which I'm going to write a book about. So yeah, that's something you definitely learn to you share parts of yourself with strangers that you haven't shared with your closest friends, or even shared with yourself. So that was definitely something that, and then I got to Saint Jean-Pied-de-Port, and we all went our separate ways into our little hostels or whatever. I had treated myself to a very lovely French B&B, because I was like, I'm going to be staying in hostels for the rest of this time. We're going to have some luxury. So checked in there, and I remember I decided to take a little walk around the town, and I remember it was just about sunset, and because I'd already had dinner, by the way, with everyone from the taxi and some other Camino people, and we had gone our separate ways, and I decided to take a walk up to this monastery and watch the sunset. And I don't know how to explain this, but it was one of the most peaceful and beautiful moments of my life, because I deleted all of my social media. I decided I didn't want this to be an experience that I had to Instagram or Facebook or like update people on. That wasn't what this was about for me. So I deleted all my social media apart from Snapchat, which my mother used to track me because there's a way you can track people on the map. And I didn't take photos, I didn't send to anyone. Well, I think I did take a photo, so if I did, I'll put it up on the screen, but it was the most at peace I'd ever felt in my entire life. It was like so emotional. I'm getting emotional just thinking about it. I was watching the sunset and I had this journey ahead of me and I had no idea what it was going to be like. I had no idea where I was staying most of the time, but I felt so at peace in my life, more at peace than I've ever been buying a freaking expensive handbag or doing this or doing that. I was just there with this backpack and it was just a beautiful, beautiful moment. It sets a context for you a little as to like, that is how I got there. So we're in St. John Peter Port. Let's continue with the questions. Did you sleep at hotels or Camino accommodations or a combination? So the most common way to do this was to stay at albergues, which are hostels, and a lot of them, there are state-run and church-run hostels, which you need a little Camino passport to get into. They give you, there's a Camino office in St. John Peter Port that you get your Camino passport and you get it stamped, and pretty much these municipalities and albergues are designed for pilgrims only, so that is why you have a pilgrim passport, because they usually are about donation only, which is usually about €5. It's designed so anyone can stay there and they can help out pilgrims. So you need your pilgrim passport. I will say a lot of the municipalities left a lot to be desired, but some of them were amazing. So I stayed, apart from 2 nights where me and Anya, my Camino sister, we shared a hotel room just to treat ourselves, give ourselves some luxury, you know, a bathroom that not 100 people were using and that kind of thing. But apart from that, we stayed all at hostels. Sarah, another one of my Camino sisters, who has now got an awesome yoga Instagram. She does yoga. Anyway, I'll link her in the comments below. She loved the municipals. They're cheap, but you have such a sense of community. All the pilgrims stay there. There are a lot of beautiful ones. Some of them do have bed bugs, which was a huge problem for me, but I didn't get them, but it was like an anxiety for me. Like every place I stayed, I was like, I'm going to find these bed bugs if they're there. So keep that in mind. But yeah, we stayed mostly in hostels, but I was kind of willing to splurge and pay like an extra €5 to stay in a private hostel, which just usually more clean, but a lot of the stops along the way are tiny little towns, so you're not going to get 5-star accommodation. If you want, you can stay at the private guest houses and things like that, which are a little bit more expensive, but you have your own private room and usually a private bathroom. But a lot of the hostels and stuff, they are designed, well, a lot of them are run by either the church or pilgrims themselves. So people that have walked the way and have fallen in love with it and just have been like, I'm going to open my own hostel and make this a thing. I met this amazing Australian lady who did just that. She did the way after a divorce and she met a Spanish guy doing it too, and they fell in love and decided to open their own hostel and welcome pilgrims. And they had like a vegetable garden, and they fed, like for €10 you stayed there and they fed you all of this beautiful organic produce. You got as much wine as you can drink, which was a lot. We drank a lot of wine, spoiler alert. You don't have to, but we drank a lot. Yeah, so a lot of them do provide food and a lot of it is amazing. So the accommodations range from like the most awesome kind of community party hippie beautiful thing to kind of shitholes. So but you know what, like it's not the main thing of it. It is yeah, like I say, if you have the budget to allow, you can stay in nicer places if you want to. Gear you wish you wouldn't have brought and gear you wish you did take. So I don't have really anything that I wish I didn't bring, because I was really good. I usually take a freaking suitcase with me for a 2-day trip with about like 5 different outfit changes and like so much makeup. But for this, obviously, I only had a few changes of clothes and the absolute essential toiletries. No 12-step skincare routine for me. I can do a whole packing video if you guys are interested. So I had a really tiny bag because the least you bring the better. You are carrying this on your back for 20, 30, 40 Ks a day. You do not want too much in there. So I was so happy because a lot of people did have problems with like back pains, but I was like, nah, come on, like bare minimum. So the only thing I did wish I brought was a sleeping bag, because a lot of blogs and stuff said you didn't need them, but I did this in the summer and I had like this little silk sleeping bag liner that I thought would be fine, but after, you know, the whole bed bug thing and being a little bit dubious about some of the sheets, in these places, I didn't want to sleep in them. So, and some of them didn't even provide sheets. Some of them either you had to pay extra or they didn't provide them and it was just a rubber mattress. So I was freezing. I remember like, because you're up in the mountains, you're up in high elevations, even if you'll be having 40-degree days, which is 40 degrees Celsius, which is about 90 or 100, I think, Fahrenheit. You're in the mountains, it gets cold. So I remember one night I wore every single thing in my pack. I was freezing. So the only thing I would say I would have wished I would have brought was a sleeping bag. Would you do it again? I get multiple questions. Would you do it again and were you afraid? So would I do it again? Yes. Yes, 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 yes. I wish I would do it again in a heartbeat. And was I afraid? I wasn't personally, because as I said, I already had done a lot of traveling on my own, and it just felt like such a desperation for something to change in me that kind of superseded all other fears. I was like, nothing can be worse than what I'm feeling right now. There's nothing more than to be afraid of. And I know this sounds dramatic, especially now when I'm in such a good place, but it really was that dire for me at the time. But you know, like, it is something to be afraid of. Like, there are things that happen. Like, I'm laughing because I'm uncomfortable, not because this isn't serious. I was like assaulted when I was there. Like, obviously it wasn't as invasive as a lot of women go through, but it did feel invasive for me at the time. I was in this little cafe. It was with a huge group of people, by the way, and some guy just kind of started talking to me in Spanish, and my Spanish was passable, and he ended up reaching under my backpack and grabbing my butt. And that's something that I'm used to in clubs, and it is not okay one single bit. But it was something that I was like, I thought I was desensitized to, but this was just a really weird, I was so vulnerable. I was on this spiritual journey, and this guy thought it was okay to like feel me out, and I did just freeze, and it was really horrible. And luckily Anya, who was with me, she shouted at the guy, and then our friend Marcel, who was Spanish, he was like, "You're lucky she doesn't punch you in the face." And it was like this big thing, and it really did shake me up. So I'm not going to say that there aren't times where this can happen, but apart from that, I felt so safe on the Camino. Like, anywhere in the world you're going to get horrible people like that, and most of the time I felt very protected. So I felt safe, and I never ever felt alone. I know you guys are going to roll your eyes a little bit at this, but I never did. From the second I started walking, you are not alone. If you want to find someone to talk to like I did, those girls, and we had a much larger greater Camino family that I still think about so fondly and love to this day. I was never alone. I never felt scared. I never felt like I was in a country where I didn't know anyone and I was halfway around the world for my family. I never felt like that, which was so special. The Camino is definitely something special in that respect. You are not alone. You are surrounded by like-minded people on a spiritual journey of their own. I also got another question about, do you need to speak Spanish? And you don't need to speak Spanish. I was lucky because Anya, she said, "Oh, I spoke a little bit of Spanish." And I was like, oh, okay, so I speak a little bit of Spanish. I know how to ask for a coffee and a wine and say I don't speak Spanish. But she got us through. She spoke amazing Spanish compared to me. So, and we also ended up pairing up with a Spanish-speaking guy. But I would say, if you have time, which I think you do now, because, you know, it might be a while before you can do this, I would say learn as much Spanish as you can. You are going to be in a lot of smaller towns where maybe they don't speak English, and it is just manners to learn at least a few phrases of the language of the country that you are going into. It'll help you so much. So if you had the chance, I would say get as much as you can and at least learn how to, you know, order a coffee and order a beer. If not more. You can make it through without it, but it's just so much easier to know at least a little bit of Spanish. Was it physically hard? So many questions about this, and at the start I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so fit. I just finished running a marathon. Like, I'm a runner, I do yoga, I'm definitely going to be fine. And the physical toll it took on me was intense. I was in so much pain, and I didn't even get blisters. Blisters were I quickly want to say, one thing I wish that not that I didn't take, but I did some more research on, was my shoes. They saved me because they didn't give me blisters, but they fell apart within the first week. They were held together by duct tape, and these were brand new shoes. Thank you, North Face. I will say they didn't give me blisters, and they carried me the way, but walking into Santiago, they were covered in duct tape, and they fell apart upon entering Santiago, which is fine because I bought a pair of heels to replace it, which everyone thought was hilarious. So yeah, that's another thing. But what was I answering? Oh, physically hard. So yeah, I thought I was very physically capable, but no, this is a toll and a kind of exercise on your body that you're not used to. So I remember walking into Pamplona, being to the girls, my Achilles is going to snap. I was like fully ready for this. I'm like, my Achilles is going to snap. I've never felt this much pain in my life, but it didn't. Spoiler alert. A girl did break her leg on the first day of our Camino though. Poor thing. She ended up finishing it, cast and all, but jeepers creepers, she was tough. So yeah, it was physically one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. I still remember so vividly. I was on my own, walking through the desert, and every step was agony to the point of I'm going to physically be sick with this step, with this next step. I can't do it. But I didn't have any other choice. I was in the middle of a desert. There was no taxis, there was nothing. So I did it, and I will say it was physically painful, but it really made me appreciate and just marvel at what my body could do. And like I said, a lot of people got like blisters. One of the guys got an infected blister and ended up in hospital. Some people couldn't, like they took a taxi because they couldn't do it. The blisters are really, really serious, you guys. And then again, like I said, there was an 80-year-old who would outpace us. It's definitely a lot of bodies just handle it differently. So yeah, it was physically hard. How much did you budget overall, and is there something you would do differently now? I honestly don't think I would have done anything differently, just because the experience I got was so beautiful, and I don't think, yeah, it was such a pure experience, so I wouldn't have done anything differently. Budget wise, as I said, you can do it so many different ways, but if you're on a really, really tight budget, you can. Like, you could do the municipal's donation only, and you can just eat from supermarkets and just have tuna, and you can like do all of that. But a lot of blogs and things say about $100 a day, which you can really go over or really go under depending on what you do, because a lot of restaurants do things like pilgrim meals, which is about €10, and you get an entree, main and dessert, and usually a bottle of wine, which is medically necessary by the end of the day. But yeah, as I said, there are so many different ways to do it, so it suits so many different budgets. So you can save up right now and you can start doing it. I will say you don't know what kind of emergencies you might have along the way, so just give yourself a buffer, because all kinds of traveling is always more expensive than you think. What was the hardest part physically, and what was the best part? So I just think, it's funny because it's probably what a lot of people ask me, and I do have a lot of questions that is very similar to this, like what was the best and what was the worst. And I'm finding it really hard to pinpoint apart from that time that guy grabbed me, that was really horrible, but I'm finding it really hard to find a really best part and really worst part, because they also intermingled. But I will say, I remember we stayed in the Meseta, which is, a lot of people avoid the Meseta because it is just a stretch of desert, and is long and it's hot. There are no bathrooms or anything like that for a long way. But I remember we all managed to get to this tiny little town that literally was like an oasis in the desert. And we all sat at this big table with wine, with food, and we all just sat there laughing. We ended up at an Irish pub. The only pub in an Irish pub. There was an open mic night, and Anya was a beautiful singer, and she sang one of her backup dances, and we ended up dancing in the street. I've got shivers just thinking about it. There are so many nights where I'm just like, it was just like a kind of magic that you would never be able to reproduce anywhere else, because I wasn't taking selfies, I wasn't trying to put on false eyelashes, I wasn't heels, I was just me, just having fun and laughing with people. And no one was looking up at their phones, no one was looking at their phones, everyone was just experiencing each other. So that is just the best part. I can't even say there was a best part. I feel like I'm so aggressive talking to you. Would you do it again? Hardest part of a journey, definitely a lot of those. What was the biggest lesson you learned? I will say, definitely, I had this vision. I guess this comes from being an author and being a creative person, but I think a lot of people do this. If you've got something planned, you have this vision of what it's going to be like. I was like, yes, I'm going to be like walking down this way with no one around me, with just my thoughts and a backpack, and it's going to be very serious. And it wasn't like that. It was the complete opposite. A, because the Camino has got a lot more publicity, so a lot more people do it. And B, because that's not what it's meant to be, or maybe it wasn't what it was meant to be like for me. I feel like everyone's Camino is different, and mine was meant to be full of people, and to experience all of these people from all these different walks of life, excuse the pun, and really, really immerse myself into just the people's stories and people's lives, and just to really experience people in a way I probably haven't for a very long time without a phone, without like the trappings of an outfit, without anything. It was just the purest experience and some of the best, most deep conversations I've ever had in my life. So I think that was just it. It was just like these walks where I talked to someone from freaking Korea, or I talked to someone from like all over the world, and just it was so magical. At any point did you stop and think, what the hell am I doing, and then realize you were on a mission and just went for it? Yes, many times. I don't want this to sound like, oh my god, it's the best thing you ever do, and it's like you're not going to have any problems. The Camino is like life. This is what we all said. It is like life. Your entire life packaged into 30 days. You have extreme highs, you have extreme lows, everything. Like, it is like such a life-changing experience. And I know this is going to sound redundant because I'm saying it so much, but it is. It's like you experience so many things. You experience, you're sore, you're tired, you're sick, you're all of these things that happen. So there were moments where I was like break down in tears. Oh, I still remember this. I was like standing in this restaurant and I couldn't speak enough Spanish, and the person was really mean to me, and I just stood there in front of all the girls. I was like, I can't do this anymore, and I just started crying. I fully broke down, and that's what I needed. I needed just to break down and just be like, you don't have to be happy all the time. This doesn't have to be this amazing thing all the time. You're allowed to cry. You're allowed to hate this day. You're allowed to want to go home, because I did. There were many times I'm like, if I see another fucking bunk bed, or if I have to share another shower, or if I have to have another cold shower, there were many of those, or I have to wash my fucking underwear in a sink again. Like, there were so many times I was like, what the fuck am I doing? And then I pushed past those parts, and I'm so proud of myself for that. So it's not going to be easy. That is not going to be the thing. You're not going to be like, oh, la-di-da, life changing. That's not how it works. Change does not come like that. So I think this is gonna be hopefully a little bit shorter than the other ones, and I hope it worked out this time, you guys. But those are just some of the questions that I've got about the Camino. If you guys want to know more like about packing and about things like that, I can totally do a little bit more detail for you, and maybe a little bit more chronologically ordered type thing, because I have so many more things to say, and I said them all in the other two videos. But maybe this is better because this is slightly shorter, and you guys, like, it's more of a palatable video. But if you guys want to know more, I can try again to do another get ready with me, and hopefully it'll work out okay this time. But yeah, if that is the main thing I'm going to say from it. If there's any part of your soul that is being called to this, do it. Plan for it. Obviously right now we can't. Maybe just buy this book. Maybe just watch The Way, which is a book. I don't know if I've talked about this. All of the videos are merging into one. The Way is a movie that a lot of people watch, and they're like, oh, did you watch The Way? I'm like, what the fuck is The Way? I don't know what you're talking about. So it's a movie about the Camino, and it's a beautiful, beautiful movie. My fiance and I actually watched it with each other. This was after me being like, yo, like, the Camino is amazing, you should do it. Ugh. And he's like, okay. And then he watched the movie, and he's like, oh my gosh, the Camino looks amazing, I really want to do it. And I'm like, but yeah, it's a really, really good movie. So it's not entirely realistic, of course, it's a movie, but if you want to kind of get the experience of it, I definitely highly recommend that. And yeah, if you want to know more, please let me know in the comments, and maybe subscribe if you haven't already. Give this a like. As I said, I'm going to do a lot more book version get ready with me, and maybe some more traveling stuff. But thank you all so much for watching, and I really hope this worked. And I hope you stay safe and have a wonderful day or night wherever you are in the world.